Well, hello, welcome to I Love Gay today. And I'm going to admit that I know this is going to be a fun interview because, as my new guest here, Robert Dunn, as he and I were chatting before the show, we had way too much fun. I think we could have done this for 2 or 3 hours.
Sure, I've got the time. I
Well,
have no life.
I'm so glad to meet you. And yeah, just,
Right.
he's this great guy from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And we'll talk about some of the things he's doing currently. But what I'm amazed by is that you were one of the writers for that original 1970s Battlestar Galactica series.
Yeah, I was a speculation writer. You know what spec writers are?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not under contract, and they can say no, thank you. It's kind of like
Uh,
a first date. Um,
yeah.
they don't have to be obligated for a second one. So I was a spec writer back in the day when
Yeah.
you could
Yeah.
still do that.
Wow. Well, so would you think I was nerdy if I told you by your command and had that whole little
You're
red?
yes, imperious leader.
Yes, it is permanently embedded in my brain.
Yeah, you
But no,
you used to say that in front of a fan. You know you did. We all did it as kids.
especially as I get older and I get loopier, I'm going to be out there more in these sort of environments and probably end up doing exactly that.
We'll be in the same nursing home, and we'll do it.
It sounds like the Golden Girls, and you are in
Yes,
Florida.
please. We should plan that. I mean, with the way this country's going, it's the only way any of us can afford to retire.
Shut out the rest of the world and just have our own life inside. Inside.
Yes. We'll get a plot of land, get a bunch of little tiny houses with a pavilion and a pool in the middle, and we'll do Cocoon.
See, this is the risk of interviewing an author and screenwriters. Yeah, you're way too imaginative.
I'm sorry.
And
You should see the worlds in this head.
I
Not
love this,
all
but
the huh?
no, I love this, and I was just going to say, but you've taken your entire history as far as being a writer and science fiction, but you've created this new series, Echelon's End, and yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's new because it's re-released. I know we had a
Uh,
conversation about re-releasing. It was originally published in '97,
okay,
but Echelon's End is the love child
yeah,
of speculation storylines that did not get picked up for various reasons from TV shows that I was hoping to write for. Space 1999 being one of them, Battlestar Galactica another, and
yeah,
Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. So, for various reasons, either the show got canceled or they changed the direction of the show, like in Galactica or Buck Rogers.
yeah,
My agent at the time said, "Quit writing it for somebody else's universe. Create your own." Does that sound like a New York agent? So,
yeah. It does.
so that's what I did, and
Yeah,
I took those storylines. I changed, of course, character names and places and stuff like that,
yeah,
and then tried to market it. But of course, you have to write about what you know. And at that time, I was coming out, so the
yeah,
criticisms I had were my female characters were not believable because they were too assertive.
yeah,
They were too, manly in some way. And I thought, well, no, I'm modeling after the women in my life. All the women I know are very
yeah,
assertive, very professional. They're not these coy little help
yeah,
me, I fell down, pick me up.
yeah,
So then I just started to add a gay twist to it. No pun, well, pun intended.
yeah.
And then that's where the problem came getting it published.
Okay.
No, publishers liked it, but they said, oh, the gay thing, science fiction. What happens if a kid picks this up?
Ah,
And so that's why it took from 1980 something or other to 1997 to finally find a publisher that would publish it because of the genre and the topic. And
okay.
it's not like it was porn. It's just that the whole concept of the universe I had created, where people are living to like 200 years of age,
Yeah,
reproduction
yeah,
isn't really needed as much because people are living longer and there's only so much land mass. So if you took the need to have children out of the equation and there was no taboo,
yeah,
most people, in my opinion, would gravitate to their own gender because it's familiar and it's comfortable. And then when you do that, you start creating relationships.
yeah,
And so I created a utopia where 70% of the population was not, straight. They were gay and 30% were. And that was a huge, like, oh, we can't publish that. That can't go out there. What happens if a child picks that up?
yeah.
So, yeah. So
Interesting.
it took till 1997 to get it first released.
Yeah.
And then the publisher was bought out by another publisher that did not do science fiction. And the rights reverted back to me. Well, I'm an artist, I'm not a businessman.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I have these rights. What do I do? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to publish. I don't know how to market. I don't know how to do anything. And
Yeah.
then luckily, I met a man named William Green,
Yeah.
who came into my life, and he does brand management, marketing, advertising. He rebranded and repackaged the series, got me into conventions and etc. And that's why it's back out on the market, was because of William.
Oh,
Without
okay.
him,
Yeah.
because I tried going to other publishers and like, we want original works of art. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, I could write another book in the series. No,
Yeah.
it's been done. We want something brand new, and I got a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, thanks to William, and kind of he found that whole self-publishing world that I always thought was taboo, but today that's the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's like what, three publishing houses left, really, if you think about it, and all their subsidiaries.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he got me into self-publishing. So we created our own company called Ink Pendant Publishing,
Okay.
and so it's because of him that Echelon Zen had a second life.
I love hearing that. It's especially in today's world where it's not just about self-publishing, but also through social media and how you and I met
Yeah,
through self-promotion
yep,
and just also realizing there's a real person on the other end there. And and
I do exist.
it's not just about throwing things out there in a pure advertising format and just hoping for the best, but you're actually kind of building relationships along the way.
Yeah, and to me,
Yeah.
that I'm of that generation. I work better in an ensemble than as
Yeah.
a solo, and I always used to watch all the awards, shows, and every actor that ever got up there that was really worth their salt had
Yeah.
so many people to thank.
Yeah.
And they even, like, I think Meryl Streep, Lucille Ball, all the greats have said, I didn't do this on my own. Nobody is self-made.
Yeah.
And that's true. And I work better in an ensemble. I've done a couple nonprofits. I started a few nonprofits for that reason.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, when William came into my life, it just helped me because I'm not one of those wunder kids that can do everything. I'm not a good businessman. I don't understand money. I don't understand the concept of it. I just think I work, I create art. Why can't I buy a house? I don't understand. Why can't I have a car? Why can't I have food? I'm doing stuff. I'm productive. I'm giving
Yeah.
to society. Why
Yeah.
am I still paying for electric when the wires are still up? I don't understand. And so I need people around me to help me understand that you are not living in your Echelon Zen world. You're living
Yes.
I'm like, oh, okay. I still don't get it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's really interesting though. Has there been anything in terms of, because in today's political climate, all of a sudden you must feel a little bit like we're going in that going backwards in the book world where you
yeah,
must feel some of that, especially right now in Iowa. They're having a lawsuit right now to bring Color Purple back into the library.
yeah. Yeah, you're right, because I wrote Echelon Zen. I started writing when I was in high school.
Yeah.
So that was back in 1970, back in the late 70s, let's say, because I graduated high school in 81.
Yeah.
And it's sad, I have to say sad, that a lot of the things that we were dealing with back then into the 80s have come back. The prejudices, the racism, the authoritarianism, all the isms have come back. And it was like, that's why as a teenager and a young man, I marched on Washington against Reagan
Yeah.
and Bush.
Yeah.
And now we're right back there. Like we haven't progressed, we've regressed.
Yeah.
And it's like The Handmaid's Tale. And yeah, it's scary. But going back to my book series, I guess, yeah, it's still relatable because there's two books that relate to my characters stumbling upon a society that is very authoritative, and they're very doctrine is law, and they're trying to fit in, and they're hiding, and they're all this whole
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
goes on. And I wrote that back in the 80s,
Yeah. Yeah.
and those same situations are happening now, like in Russia and other countries that are banning GLBTQ
Yeah. Yeah.
existence. And that's what we were fighting for in the 80s with the AIDS epidemic, against the bigotry and the hatred from the Reagan administration and the Republican Party at the time. And just all of that stuff that we've gained, it's like now it's under threat again by the same party, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's sad that it's like, wow.
Yeah.
But the books, like I said, there's a lot of parallels still in those storylines that, you're right, that have come back to haunt us, if you will, today.
I'll just be worried if you're walking down the street and I hear you say under his eye or blessed be the fruit. Then we'll realize we've crossed over.
Don't last. Yeah, we are now in Gideon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me about playing it forward. That's also something that you have in
Oh,
your Amazon store. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for that. I'm also a playwright,
Yeah.
and the book is a play anthology of 7 of my plays.
Okay.
Um, a good majority have been produced. All of them, on some level, have been workshopped, if not produced. One actually was off Broadway, and went to the Fringe of the Fringe Festival in Toronto, Canada, in 2007.
Wow.
It was workshopped and performed at the Lex Theater in West Hollywood, California, for
Yeah.
HBO. They liked it, but said the gay thing, because it's a gay play. I've heard that my entire career. The gay thing, the gay thing. Can you change it? No, because then it's not my work. So yeah, that's in there. There was another play there called A Dragged Out Haunting. That was in a theater festival in New York in 2002, I believe.
Okay.
So there's some pieces in there that have a little street cred to it, if you will.
Yeah.
Most of them are gay themed, because that's, again, I write with what I know.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And I have a series of other plays. Actually, I finished working with a new play with two of my friends.
Okay.
And I'm putting together another anthology book to follow up with, playing it forward, maybe still playing or playing again. The title I don't have right yet. But yeah, so yeah, I'm a playwright. So
Yeah.
that's what that book is. It's so if there's any theater companies out there or actors looking for monologues or whatever, yeah, that's the book to look to.
Yeah.
And yeah,
You're like, call me.
call me. We'll discuss royalties.
I think this is great. I'm looking forward to the next time I'm down in Fort Lauderdale, because I am going to look you up.
Oh, you have to.
We will have some
Absolutely.
fun.
We'll do lunch.
Exactly.
I'll
But
show you around.
in the meantime, I'm just really glad you're able to take a few moments of your time and share a bit of your story with our audience here.
Anything to help you, help me. But just also just to get that voice out there. And if you touch a few people, give them a few ideas of what they can do in this world of self-promotion, get on that wagon, especially for like an old bird like me who's like, how do I work my phone again? What's an app? There, you can breathe new life into your life and or your career.
Yeah. No,
And
well
if
said.
people would ever, would be nice if some people bought a few books.
Yeah.
And if those stories speak to them. And I've done book club talks, I've done book readings in bookstores, I've done conventions. I'm available.
Yep.
All
I
of it.
love that. Well, thanks again so much for being here, and we'll chat soon.
Anytime.
All right.
Feels good, so good.